which leads to growth wheel. We're going to go through an introduction to growth wheel, and the starting point for it is a screening tool which you have in your packet. Have some time for you to work through that and how to use that. And then we'll talk about the basic premise of growth wheel is built around the wheel that has 4 quadrants, and each quadrant is broken down into focus areas. And we're going to go through all of that. Running a business is at the same time both pretty simple. You sell something that people want and will pay you for. You have expenses that are less than what you sell it for, and you make a profit. It really is about figuring out what is the situation, what are the resources, how am I going to approach it. To me, it helps to put it into a perspective of, how do those pieces fit together with the cubic zone? It's your concept. What is your value proposition? How are you all of that? But who are you really? And so part of your planning becomes is recognizing where your gaps are, where your strengths are, and then either learning or hiring the folks who can do that. This tool provides a simple approach to break down those focus areas, those 4 main areas, into focus areas, which are, there's 20 titles and 20 focus areas, are pretty self-explanatory.
People would call me and say, do you know somebody who could do this for us or do that for us? So I was doing this networking, and I'm like, wait a minute, why am I not charging for this?
And that's the great news. It's also that other side of Rubik's Cube, that if you don't have some sort of vision or goal, then you can be led down a path that takes you too far away. So you're constantly moving that around, and that's where, again, the clear vision, the clear understanding of skills, the understanding of trends, put you in a position to decide that opportunity, whether that's an opportunity or you can start anywhere, but the process is very similar. You want to get focused. What do I need to concentrate on? You can use this 360 tool to help you. Set an agenda. What are the alternative options? Back when I was in strategic planning, we started pretty much the same way. You did a situation assessment. What's the competitive landscape? What's the economic landscape? Where are we? Where do we want to go? You start off figuring out where you are, okay? And then you start to come up with options. Well, we could do this, we could do this, we could do this. You start off with the blank, and you can handle it one of 3 ways. One way is to figure out where you are now. So a way of assessing your progress. So you could go through and look at these as the building blocks of assessing your skills either individually or as an organization. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? But then the next step starts to become, where am I having the most? We'll develop our other areas. So again, what's keeping you up at night? Where are your skills? Where are your needs?
Wasting resources is not just knowledge, it's also...
2 good points, because I think, again, that starts to put in context a thought process. When you talk about a relationship, it's around engagement. And it's around engagement with relevant information on paper. Does the picture look different than you would have imagined?
I was just weird again.
Are a host of tools that are like this, worksheets. So at each of the workshops, we'll take 1 or 2 of the worksheets, introduce a topic, and then work on that. So we'll spend a few minutes, 15 or 20 minutes, introducing the worksheet, the general context of the topic, and then you'll start working on filling it out for your own business. When things need to get done is a critical component of your action plan. So much like your business plan or your self-assessment, when you put it down on paper, you start getting to the whole. So the number one key, and that's how you prefaced it, is you start by getting it down on paper. The stuff that needs to get done, how important it is, who's going to do it, when can it get done, and then look to see that the gaps are connected. Now you start to figure out a way to make it so having the right people doing things in a process that you've all agreed on. It may not be your same process, but on something that you've agreed on, so that you're moving towards a common goal with milestones that give everybody that sense of accomplishment. And really, we started all of this today by talking about the end result. You want to achieve some objective. And how you accomplish that can happen a lot of different ways. Are a thought process today, a framework and a structure that you certainly, as with most tools, can take and use yourself.